Okay, so let's talk about this. Why did I quit my job at UPS as a seasonal delivery driver after 5 days? Now, I'm not including the time that I spent training, okay? So we have 1 week of training over a Zoom meeting prior to the actual start date. And then from that week, you go on to a week of supervised driving, which is basically with somebody supervising you the entire time, training you. That is actually going to last for 3 days, and then for the last 2 days, you're on your own. So, yeah, I didn't last. I didn't make it. Sorry, I'm still recovering from it, to be honest. Like, it literally took me over this last weekend, like several days of just sleeping all day and still getting sleep at night and just recovering from the amount of stress that I was going through, literally just within 1 week. So I guess I'm just not cut out for it. I can say that. I can admit that. Not because I'm not physically cut out for it. Like, I've done several physical jobs. I've worked in warehouses. I've done this job now. This is probably the hardest one so far. It's hard in its own way. There's different ways that jobs can be hard, obviously, but physical jobs are just not it for me. I think I've come to accept that. I'm 34 years old. I feel the pain in my body now, and it sucks. But I also am at an age where there's certain things where just I'm not willing to put up with. That many of these corporations, a lot of these companies that hire people, they know that people need a job. They know that people are pressed to pay their bills. A lot of people have kids. A lot of people are married, have mortgages, car payments, and bills to feed, or mouths to feed, bills to feed too, yeah. But I'm not in that position. So I'm your single uncle who plays video games all the time. Yes, I like to partake in the schmoky, which I had to give up for this job for a little bit. Thankfully, that's not going to last. But I'm pretty chill, right? I'm a chill person, right? So whenever I get into a job that takes me out of my chill mode, I start to question, how much is this job really worth? Is this $23 an hour driving job really worth it to me? And I had to think about that literally every day for the past week now. So let me just start from the beginning. I got hired. It's very easy to get hired for UPS. They'll hire anybody because the work sucks. I think everybody can say that. If you currently work for UPS and you think I'm a pussy and I didn't last long because I'm lazy or whatever, that's fine. Comment that down below and let me know how I suck at this job. But honestly, I knew the job was going to be hard when I first got into this. I kind of had an idea. I was like, okay, this job is going to suck, but it's seasonal. So my idea behind this job was like, I'm just going to stack up, save money for the holidays, have some extra money. I want to get a new camera now that I have a newfound interest in learning video. And I've spent so much money on stuff already. So it's just like my impulsive, obsessive personality drives me to take jobs that I hate just to stack up money and go back to doing what I like. And for a seasonal position, that's perfect. I'm only committing to seasonal. Well, it didn't seem like I was a seasonal driver. It seemed like they were trying to make me permanent, which is very unlikely for somebody who's seasonal. I've done my research, reading on Reddit and on, the UPS Reddit and just online in general, that they usually don't hire seasonal drivers as permanent drivers. You're going to have to put your time in. Typically, people work in the warehouse for several years before they even get a shot at driving. Every now and then, you hear of these stories of people becoming seasonal and then just making permanent because they do really well. I think maybe that could have been me. But hadn't I not gotten screwed over so hard, I would have considered that. Of course, they should have communicated that too. If they would have asked me, I would have said my intention was to just be seasonal. I'm just here seasonal. I'm just here to help you guys get through peak season, as they call it, and, save some money, get some experience, learn something new, whatever. Well, this job is grueling, okay? The UPS job is grueling, whether you're in the warehouse or you're a delivery driver. Warehouse people get put through so much in the warehouse just for a part-time job. You're going to feel like you're working full-time with how much work you're doing. And then driving is just a whole other animal. So for me, the first week was super easy. A Zoom class, just going over corporate policies, procedures to stay safe. They emphasize how much they want to be safe, right? Because the job, let's face it, the job is extremely dangerous. You're driving a huge vehicle. You're basically responsible for all the packages that are in your vehicle. You're dealing with the public occasionally. On my personal route, I had businesses. So when you first start, if you just get a residential route, consider yourself lucky because you're just dropping packages off, right? Now you're going to have a lot of work through peak season, but business routes are a whole other topic because you're on a time crunch. So not only are you dropping packages off to businesses, which businesses close around 5 o'clock, so you have until 5 o'clock to make your business deliveries. They were also slamming me with residentials, so I had business deliveries, I had residential deliveries, I had business pickups, which I had to be at by certain times. And because business pickups involve next day airs, which is basically overnight deliveries, your responsibility is to get all of those packages back to the center in a timely manner. For me, it was before 7 o'clock because that's when the load left for overnight. So, considering all things, they were just overloading me with work. And I had the route that everybody hated. The shitty part is that nobody could tell me that. Like, even the drivers that I met, they were lying to me and they were like, oh, you got a cherry route, bro. You got a cherry route. They would look at my other two trainees that I started with and they'd be like, those guys, they got easy routes. You got a cherry route. And that was the first red flag. I'm like, wait, you just told me they have easy routes and I have a cherry route. So which is it? Is theirs easy or is mine easy? You called mine cherry. Really, he was just telling me that because he didn't want me to quit because none of them wanted to take that route. So that was my first red flag. I had drivers lying to me about the route. Just tell me, bro. Just be like, hey, this route sucks, but if you can get through it, it's going to be worth it. You put your time in, prove yourself, whatever, blah, blah, blah. I like when people keep it real. Pretty much every job I've had, there's going to be somebody who just lies to you or just, tells you what they think you want to hear, I guess, and I don't communicate that way. I'm very direct. I like to get to the point. I don't like to beat around the bush. I don't like to sugarcoat things. And when people do that to me, it really irks me. But anyways, it's not like that driver was my supervisor or anything. It's not like I had to associate with anybody, really. There were some drivers that were trying to be helpful. But let me just break it down like this. At UPS, if you do a good job, let's say you finish your route on time or early, you're going to get rewarded with more work. They're going to say, oh, wow, you did a good job. You can do more. Okay? On the other side of that, if you do a horrible job or if you make a mistake, in my case, I made a mistake, you're going to get punished with, guess what? More work. You're going to get punished. It's kind of like a retaliation. I had to learn that very quickly. I had to put that together myself because, again, none of the supervisors ever addressed my actual mistake. Okay, so we had the training. Boom, boom. I got through that. Super easy. You're just getting paid to watch videos, and it is boring, and it is basically for 8 hours a day. But you're getting paid for it, so great, whatever. The next week, your on-road supervisor training starts, and you get your assigned route, and then your on-road supervisor is basically holding your hand, guiding you through the process. Well, I come to find out that my on-road supervisor wasn't very liked by everybody in the building. I guess she had the reputation for being kind of lazy or the reputation for screwing you over. And I don't know what that meant. That's just what one of the other drivers told me that. And I was like, okay, I can see that because my first date with her was horrible. She didn't really know the route. She knew some of the stops, but she didn't really know the route. She was delaying the process just by being there, honestly, because there was times where I was on the right track. Like the little dyad that you use, they call it the dyad. It's the device that you use to scan packages and to navigate is a piece of shit. Let me just put that out there. The drivers have to put up with this device, and it is horrible. She told me it cost $2,000. I'm like, wait, maybe you guys should go buy iPhones because they're a little over $1,000 and they will actually have maps on them. Well, the company brought maps in at a certain point, which all the drivers loved because it's actually reliable compared to the device that they had been using. Well, the company took maps away. So it's back to the piece of shit device, which supposed to route you in the smartest way, but it doesn't. So you basically can't listen to that thing. Okay? And so when I was training with her, she would tell me to go one way and then I would go that way, and we're going the wrong way, and I have to turn around. I don't know how many times that happened in my first day. So I was so frustrated my first day with her because she did not seem helpful. Towards the end of the day, we actually did not meet our deadline, so she actually had to call another driver to get our pickup for that day. So I missed out on a lot of training opportunities just because my trainer was not even that competent, for one. Just looking at her, and hey, I'm not judging, but just looking at her, she was overweight. She looked super stressed every day that I worked with her. The job seemed like it was wearing her down. She had been with the company for 28 years, but she had earned the right to be a supervisor. So most of the time she's in the office, right? Except for the on-road trainings. Then she'd have to come out, and really it wasn't like super helpful. So my first day sucked. The next days after that got a little bit better because they lightened our load, thank God, because I'm training, right? So they lightened the load, the truck load. It's not a truck technically, it's called a package car. And I thought, okay, well, this is manageable now. And then so my first day by myself, when was it? I think it was, I want to say the first day by myself was Friday. I don't know if I got that Tuesday off. I swear it was like, I'm misremembering here. So anyways, the Friday that I started by myself, it was pretty manageable. I'm like, okay, this is what training should be like. It wasn't so overwhelming, but it was enough work for me to get practice in. And I was like, okay, I'm getting a little bit more confident I can do this job. Well, screw that. Following Monday comes, and holy shit, I was so pressed that day. They gave me a lot of work, and with residential deliveries, you basically have all day to deliver them. But because I was on a business route, I had to do all my residential deliveries and be done by like 5 o'clock to get back to the UPS store, in which I had to pick up all of their stuff, right, from the weekend and that Monday, which was almost 300 packages. So I spent my whole day, about 10 hours, getting everything done. I skipped my lunch. I skipped my break. You're going to have to get used to that when you first start as a driver. It's technically not legal. And the way it works is if you do skip your lunch and break, I was told by one of the veteran drivers that they will key it in afterwards to save their ass. So you won't get paid for that half hour that you worked through, even though you worked through it. So there's another huge red flag. So I was like, okay, well, I'll do it. I'll skip through my break to get this done. I'm trying to prove myself, whatever. Well, even though I skipped my break on that Monday, I still didn't make the deadline. I was trying so hard too. Like, I was looking at the clock the entire time I was driving back to the center at the end of the day. And I was like, I'm going to make it. I have to be there before 7 o'clock so I could get all my next day airs, overnight packages onto the belt to be shipped out, whatever. Well, turns out I didn't make it. I had to find this out after the fact. Again, nobody came and talked to me to train, to retrain, or anything about my mistakes. So it's all a guessing game. Of course, this is all going to vary between centers. You might have a great experience, more power to you. If you currently work for UPS and you have that great pension and insurance and all the stuff that comes with it and top pay, blah, 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 you're going to work your ass off for it, but more power to you. That's not how it went for me. People say that you don't quit the job, you quit the manager, and that's exactly what happened here. So I made that mistake on Monday. I thought I made it, but turns out I was just too close and I didn't make it. And I didn't find that out until Friday. And so I went throughout my week. I was off Tuesday, came back, worked Wednesday and Thursday. My Monday was so bad, I literally was going to quit the next day. Like, then when I went to work on Wednesday, I was actually taking all my uniforms into my car and I was like, I'm going to quit. This is fucking stupid. Anyways, I didn't. I just hustled through it and I said, okay, well, I'm going to see what today's like. If today's unbearably, stupidly crazy like it was Monday, then I'm going to quit. Well, guess what? Those days were actually manageable. More practice days I got. Well, come Friday, this most recent Friday, I get to work, and there's also another thing too with getting to work. Our start time was 8:45, meaning we have this meeting at 8:45. You can clock in at 8:45. It was before that. It was 8:55. And you leave around 9 o'clock, right? Well, they extended it to 8:45 to allow drivers to find their misloads, okay? Which a misload is where the loaders, before you come into work, they're putting all the packages in your truck in order, getting you ready for your day, basically. And so I was told, you have 10 minutes, 10 extra minutes. I'm going to pay you for 10 extra minutes. The boss said, like, as if he's personally going to pay us. He's like, I hate when bosses say that. I'm going to pay you. It's like, nah, bro, you work for UPS too. UPS is going to pay us. Anyways, that extra 10 minutes was supposed to go through our entire truck of hundreds of packages to find those mistakes. Like, realistically, that's not going to happen, okay? So our start time would be 8:45, and it was recommended to us to come in basically an hour early. You don't get paid for that extra hour, but that extra hour is supposed to be spent organizing your truck, getting ready for your day, making sure you have everything you need. And I'm just not used to that, personally. I'm not used to spending so much extra time not getting paid, okay? That's another thing. If you want to do well, you should probably come in an hour early. I wasn't. I was coming in some days. I was coming in 30 minutes early. Some days I was, traffic sucked and I'm coming in 20 minutes early, whatever. But I still made it through, But I think they watched that too. I didn't make the cut because they watch these things, So just be mindful if you're really interested in this job. I'm personally not. So I'm just giving it to you like how I experienced it. So I come in on that Friday. Boom, boom. I could sense something was wrong as soon as one of the managers told me that I had to come sign something before I started my shift. And I was like, wait, so the stuff he had me sign was like stuff that I was typically signing at the end of the day. So I feel like I was like, why are you trying to hold me up here? I was already kind of late. I'm like, fuck. So like now I'm not going to make it. And so they had me sign this stuff. I get back to my truck. I'm ready to press for time, and I look at my truck and it's so full. I'm going to post a picture up here right now. It was insanely full. I had like this Home Depot stop had like 43 packages just at that one stop, and they were just all shoved in the back, right? And so I'm like, screw it. I don't have time to go through and find my misloads and do all this shit. I need to get on the road. So I go to the back to close the door. I can't even close the back door, okay? Again, now I realize they did all that on purpose. They probably didn't want me there. After they made that first mistake, instead of addressing it like a human being, verbally with communication, face to face, they just do these retaliation tactics. And now I realize that's how it works. And I'm just like, okay, I definitely don't want to work for a company that does that. Again, this varies between centers. It all depends on the type of management you have and the people there. And let me just put it this way. It's a very toxic place. So the people there are going to reflect that, okay? The only reason they stay at that job is because of the pay. But it seemed like everybody I met hated the job, And when we first started, all the trainees were, sitting around in the building that we were at. All the drivers were joking with us. They're like, they're going to make you want to quit. Get out now. Get out now. And I'm like, they're joking, but they're not joking. I knew it. So I just watch everything. I watch all these red flags, and I'm just like, okay. I knew deep down in my heart, I'm like, this probably isn't going to last long. I didn't think it would be that fast, to be honest with you. I thought maybe I'd put like a month in and be like, peak season really starts. I'm like, this is crazy. I'm out of here. Nah, I mean, if anything, I did them a favor to give them more time to find somebody else, for peak season, since we still have maybe a couple more weeks till it really starts getting going. So yeah, Friday, boom, can't even close my door. So one of the drivers next to me is helping me. One of the loaders comes over to help, and we managed to shift everything around to just close my door, right? And I had the biggest load I've ever seen, bunch of residentials, bunch of businesses, plus just a shit ton of heavy packages, like over 100 pounds or like over 70 pounds. And you know what? I just took it as a challenge, and I said, okay, you know what? I'm going to try to get this done. So I go throughout my day. Well, it was almost impossible. The amount of stuff they gave me was, again, retaliation. And it was like to teach me a lesson about making the mistake I made on Monday. Well, let's put it this way. It's like I'm brand new, and it's not my fault that happened. It's your guys' fault for putting too much in a brand new employee's truck and expecting them to get done by 5 o'clock with all of that stuff. So on Friday, I'm going on my day, and my first delivery is a business, and I stop there and I give him the package, and the dude looked at me kind of weird, and he said, he's like, that's weird. He's like, we usually don't get packages on Friday. They know this. They know that we need time to ship them out, and over the weekend we can't send stuff out. So the fact that you're giving me this on Friday is kind of weird. And I was like, I was like, I don't have control over that. And he was like, no, it's okay. It's not your fault. He's like, I'm just letting you know that this route, every driver hates it. So this guy that worked at the business had a relationship with the previous driver pretty well. Like they knew each other pretty well, and the driver would tell him like, "Yeah, this route sucks. It's the worst route." That's fine. I get it. I'm the new guy. Give the new guy the worst route. I get that part. But the fact that I was delivering packages that he said I typically wouldn't give him any packages on Friday told me that they purposely loaded my truck with just as much crap that they could find. And so I was like, okay, that's weird. Whatever. So I went on about my day. Well, around noon, I get a call or I get a message on the little device, and it says you need to call Dominic, who is the operations manager. He's the head boss, right? He's the one who lays the smack down when you make a mistake. Well, I call him, and he's like, so I'm over here at he says the business name, and he's like, I'm over here talking to them, and you know, they're one of our biggest accounts. They spend $11,000 a month with us to make sure that their packages get out on time, and they have a lot of overnights and this and that. And I'm just sitting there on the phone. I'm just like, okay, and I got to get back to work. I'm thinking in my head, like, gonna get to the point here, boss man. Like, are you gonna tell me I made a mistake, or are you just gonna sit here and yap and like beat around the bush? Well, he didn't tell me anything. He just said, oh yeah, and they said they didn't have any problems with you. He said, and I was just like, okay, and and he really didn't say anything. He was just like yapping about that, and then he was like, yeah, so you gonna be good today? Are you gonna get there on time? I was like, well, I noticed I have a lot of more stuff on my vehicle than I have in previous days, so I'm gonna try my best. I don't know the exact timeline, mind you. I'm brand new. I can't tell you like I'm a veteran, seasoned driver. So he didn't even tell me I made a mistake. He couldn't man up and just say, hey, like, you did this. I need you to stop and tell us, you know, if you need help, whatever. Like, get to the point, my guy, which he didn't. So I hang up, and I'm just like, that's weird. I was like, oh, it clicked in my head. I was like, he did this on purpose. He overloaded my truck on purpose to teach me a lesson. Has one of the lower supervisors hold me back to sign some bullshit paperwork before I leave to hold me back. And then calls me in the middle of my shift while I'm supposed to be working. I don't use Bluetooth headphones, so I have to pull over. And if you want me to talk on the phone, I'm not going to drive and talk. That's actually against UPS policy, which that's a whole other animal. They don't follow policies. They'll say they do. And again, it's all for legal reasons, right? But in order to do this job on time, you're going to be cutting corners. You're going to be doing a lot of things that they told you not to do in the Zoom class when you get on the job. That's what the on-road supervisor told me. She was like, oh yeah, don't listen to that. I was like, they said we can't do this. They said we have to do this according to policy. And she was like, oh yeah, all good drivers do that. All good drivers don't do that. And I was just like, oh, okay, yeah, real safe. I mean, skipping your lunch and breaks to deliver all these packages, that in and of itself is unsafe, because you need calories to do this job. You need energy, right? And if you're lightheaded about to pass out, like, that's not very safe, and you're driving a big vehicle like that. Anyways, I digress. Back to the point. I tried my best that day. Well, come around, like, after I talked to him, maybe an hour later, 1 or 2 o'clock comes, and finally they sent help. Like, they had somebody meet me. They had them call me first and be like, yo, I was told that, you know, you have a lot and we can come help you, or I can come help you and relieve you. So I meet up with one of the veteran drivers who's been there for a long time. And the reason why I know he was a seasoned driver was because when he showed up to meet me at around 1 or 2 o'clock, his truck was completely empty. I had around 100 stops left, and his truck was completely empty. And I'm just like, wait a second, like, so all you veteran drivers are like done by like 2 or 3, and you're just hanging out until 5, still getting paid? I'm like trying to put 2 and 2 together. I'm just like, okay, whatever. I just think it was on purpose. I think they literally took other drivers' packages and put them in mine to teach me a lesson without being directly coming to me again. That was the most like disrespectful part in my opinion. Is like, okay, maybe the operations manager is too busy to come talk to me, right, and address the issue. But you have other managers. Have them retrain me. Have them lighten my load so I can go learn the business routes. If those are so, you know, they make the company so much money, and you're emphasizing how important they are, why are you overloading me with residentials and expecting me all to get done by 5 o'clock? It doesn't make sense. I had never had a chance to talk to him about any of this because, again, I quit literally that day. Like, I finished my day, and I had a bunch of apartment deliveries that I purposely didn't make because I was like, okay, well, they want me to make this pickup and make the businesses and all this stuff. I can't make these. And I had already decided in my mind, like the day was so horrible that I was like, yeah, this is my last day. So the end of the day comes, I barely make it. I get all the pickups and I go back and literally just on my drive back to the center, I was like, yeah, this is BS. I'm not putting up with this. These retaliation tactics. I don't play this game. I don't play those types of games. And maybe they thought I needed this job bad enough that I would put up with it. Well, guess what? Their loss, my loss, whatever you want to call it. You think I'm lazy, comment down below. You think I didn't hack it, whatever. I couldn't make it. I didn't make the cut. That's totally fine. I don't care. I know myself. I'm okay with who I am. But yeah, that was in a gist my experience there. And I think, it's all going to come down to where you end up at with this company. You might have a great experience if you have a great management and you have a great, organization as far as when it comes to your center and how they operate. But, where I'm at didn't work out like that. And I don't recommend anybody put themselves through that type of nonsense just for a paycheck. I don't operate that way. $23 an hour is also not what it used to be, right? We're living in a time where inflation keeps surpassing the rate that we get paid as we the people, right? And it's unfortunate that our economy sucks this bad, but it's also unfortunate for the company to lose potentially good employees because they want to just overload them with work on their first week when they're still learning. Like, that doesn't make sense to me. So I messaged my manager that day, or my on-road supervisor. I told her, I was like, today's my last day. I can't keep up. I'll turn my uniforms in tomorrow or next week. And she messaged me back and she's like, well, you want to talk to Dominic? They overloaded you way too much today. We'll ensure that won't happen again. I'm like, nah, I don't. First of all, I don't believe you. I think you're just telling me that because you guys are freaking out because now you have to fill the position again. And now you have to have somebody brand new come in, go through all of that training again, spend more money on them, spend more time on them, only for them to potentially not stay at the job either. And I get it. It's like, for them, they're probably stressing out too. And of course, the drivers who have to cover that route now, they're probably stressing out too on top of it and probably pissed off. Unfortunate, but that's how it is. I value myself. I know what I'm worth. It was partially my fault. And even in the past, in my entire work experience, it's probably been my fault for even taking the job in the first place. Knowing who I am as a person, now I can do that, or I can say that. But when I was younger, I didn't know. I was still looking for a purpose in life. I was still trying to figure out, what am I here to do? What job can I do? And I would end up just taking jobs based on the fact that somebody told me to take it, right? Go apply here, go apply there. Oh, it's a good job. It's like, well, I'm not like most people. I'm very, how do I say this? Like, maybe I'm just autistic. I don't fucking know, guys. I don't know. I just think differently. And it's just like, I don't fit in places, most of these jobs that I've taken. If anything, I'm now going to turn this into a series because of how many jobs I've left. And if anybody now in the future asks me, what do you do? What do you do for a living? I'm going to tell them I'm a certified professional job hopper. And it seems like that's the truth, right? Because I have so many jobs that I've left. And I'm just going to turn it into my YouTube series now. It's like I'm going to talk about every single job I've had, because I've had some interesting jobs too. I've worked in the film industry. I've worked next to like A-list actors, including Denzel Washington, Jeff Goldblum, who else? I can't even name them right now. Eva Longoria. Like, I was in the film industry for several years as a background actor, so I'm going to cover that. I'm going to make videos talking about the cannabis space, which I kind of already covered a little bit, but I'll talk about it further. And then plus every other job I've had that I've left. And for what it's worth, just to document it and just like maybe give people an idea of what to expect if they're in the same type of job or thinking about it or curious about it. But I only lasted at UPS for 5 days. If you're thinking about working there and you're willing to suffer through it to make your $23 an hour or your $21 an hour at the warehouse, more power to you. Best of luck. I hope you can make it through. Take care of your body, get enough sleep, say goodbye to your mental health. But yeah, thanks for watching. Maybe I'll cover more topics when I think about them in this short time that I've spent at UPS. But yeah, hope you guys have a good day. Leave your comments down below. If you think I'm a pussy for not making it, go ahead, let me know. If you understand what I'm getting at here, also comment, let me know. Subscribe, like. I appreciate all the subscribers that I've built up to this point, my 130 something. Appreciate you guys. Yeah, let me know any ideas you want me to talk about too. Comment down below. You guys have a good day.